Great.
In today's episode of the Path Monk Presents podcast, I'm with Conor Bronsdon, and he is essentially working in content and community. He's a content and community strategy lead for LinearB. And today we're going to be learning all about LinearB, what it's all about, and a particular angle on community and growth. So we have a lot of growth marketers on the show. Today we want to take a specific angle into content and community and what role it can actually play for building up a company. So Conor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Lucas. Excited to talk to you and kind of dig more deeply into what's happening with LinearB and how we're using community-driven growth to drive a lot of our strategy.
Awesome. So yeah, maybe let's just dive right into it.
Let's do it.
Give me the 360 overview. What is LinearB all about?
Sure. So LinearB is a B2B SaaS company that works with developers, engineering teams, engineering team leads. And basically, we provide data-driven engineering metrics and software delivery intelligence. So we kind of think about a three-pillar approach of how we help development teams. Our goal is to help them work more efficiently, work faster, save time, and get rid of blockages. And so because of that, we kind of have three ways we go about it. One, we have your typical, business alignment, metrics, observability standpoint, where the executive team, VPs of engineering, CTOs can go, okay, like, what's happening? How are we doing on our sprints? Are things working? Where do we need to put resources? Where are there blockages we need to adjust? Then we have more direct pipeline observability that works mostly for our team leads, the director level, the manager level. They're leading maybe a team or two of engineers, and they need to really understand, how are my projects going? Where do I need to reapportion resources? Do I have the right developers on the right projects, or are there going to be better fits elsewhere? And then we have workflow optimization that we provide as well, which is our WorkerBee Slack bot, which is also now available on MS Teams, that helps provide automated alerts, various automations, and other means of providing efficiency for developers with the goal of saving developers up to 50 minutes a day and helping them be more efficient and enabling them to have to do less context switching as they try to get a pull request or something else. So our goal is to make it easier for everyone from the developer to the CTO to do their job and deliver software that is better, that is delivered faster, and is higher quality. And we're really excited to keep working with that. We've got some great data that's backing up that this is working well. And the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want this to turn into something where we're stack ranking developers. That's not the goal. This is something that is for identifying projects, helping move teams forward, and not something that's being used to measure or micromanage developers. That's not the goal.
Yep. Makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, from the sounds of it, it sounds like larger dev teams in big organizations will be using it. But maybe tell me more about it. What are the types of companies that are actually benefiting most from the platform?
So there's actually quite a variety. We have a free tier for teams that have 8 or less engineers. So if you're listening to this and you're a small startup and you want to try out LinearB, go to linearb.io and check it out. A ton of information there about how it works. You can get a free demo. You can sign up free today if you want to. And then for larger teams, they're looking for things like their cycle time breakdown, their mean time to restore, their deployment frequency. And our goal is to make it extremely easy to set this up and extremely easy to take action and improve your cycle time, improve your key metrics, and make your team more efficient. We have a bunch of incredible folks using the product, Insights, which was just acquired by Rapid7, Illuminate Education, a variety of other scale-ups, unicorns, Infinity, Hippo, GrowFlow, Rodeo, Big ID, Dago, Vast. A lot of these companies are working with us. There's many more that I can't think the list right now, but Amir Hozez, who's the VP of R&D at Insights, put it really well, I think, when he talked about the product on a recent panel we did with some of our folks at our new Interact conference. And he said, streamlining our data with LinearB and taking a data-driven approach has been a natural step in our journey as a scale-up organization, because it helps both scale the organization, but also scale the engineering managers and enable them to have processes in place that grow with the organization. Yep. And so that's really what we want to do. We want to help you align your business. We want you to help you ship features faster, scale your teams, and bottom line, make more impact.
Okay, very cool. That definitely gives us a good insight into the product. So let's talk a little bit about growth. How do people learn about LinearB? Sort of what is the key client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Sure. So we have a couple things that I think we're doing at the very top of, we'll call it the funnel, that to provide awareness. One thing that we started back in late October of last year, so 2020, is we started a podcast and Discord community, which I lead up. So I think you mentioned at the beginning, I'm the head of content and community strategy for LinearB. So my purview kind of goes from that top level stuff into some of our more in-depth content that's provided. So we have our weekly podcast where we talk to engineering leaders. Recent episodes include like the VP of engineering for Twitter, the VP of engineering for Slack, Brendan Burns, who's a CVP at Microsoft and the co-founder of Kubernetes. A lot of our other big names in the engineering community come on this podcast, and our COO, Dan Lyons, who's also a former VP of engineering himself at CloudLock, they get in these discussions about how to make engineering leadership work, how to improve. And out of that, we've built a Discord community that's almost 2,000 engineering leaders now at this point. And we're having daily discussions about key engineering topics. We're having discussions about how to properly use engineering metrics, how to make sure that engineering metrics are not being used to micromanage and instead are being used to improve teams. And so that's kind of like our top of funnel community level stuff we're doing. As part of that, we have a devinterrupted.com, which is community submitted articles. So we have tens of people from our community that are writing articles about engineering management, leading teams, key things happening in technology and engineering. And they're coming in and writing articles for our community. And then we also partner with a variety of organizations to help disseminate that content. So places like dzone, daily.dev, dev.to. As part of that, we just threw our Interact conference with more than 700 engineering leaders from 75 countries across the world. Margaret Schaefer, who's our head of events, and I partnered to put that on. Incredibly successful. First time we've done this conference, and we're going to be doing another one in either February or April of 2022. We're trying to finalize our exact date. But our goal is to help build a community that cares about doing engineering the right way and enabling engineers and other engineering leaders to continuously improve. And so we're building that community at the top level. And that community, I think very naturally, because LinearB sponsors the Dev Interrupted community, finds out about what we're doing at LinearB. We have an event coming up November 4th, Linear Beyond, talking about our new product launches. And a lot of those community members will attend. Some of them are, LinearB customers. And so we have this virtuous cycle where all we have to do is come in and say, hey, we're going to help provide positive benefits to you by, engaging with these top engineering leaders, creating cool content, and they come and are interested. And then, of course, we also have our more product marketing focused stuff. Our head of product marketing, Nico, does an incredible job with that, and I partner with him heavily. We'll do customer stories, we'll do plenty of product blogs, walkthroughs, that kind of thing. So there's a lot happening on that side as well. We have the external events that we're doing, of course, where we're going out to speak. But really, the hub of our marketing experience, I guess, is this community and the Dev Interrupted podcast. And our goal is to really make it the #1 place on the internet for engineering leaders to come and learn and grow. And so far, I think we're doing a really good job. It's been a fantastic journey, and I'm loving building it.
Cool. Yeah, let's deep dive a little bit into community, because I think it's a topic that is super interesting for other marketers to get your experience. I will have some couple of very specific questions, just because Please. I think sometimes it's good to have very hands-on information.
This is my favorite thing to talk about. Let's do it. Yeah.
Very good. So first one I would shoot over is, you mentioned Discord. Why Slack? Why not Slack? Why Discord? What was the sort of the thinking behind? Because once you start building a community, you're somewhere, locked in that route. What was the decision making?
So there are a few reasons for that. And I think one would be some of our earliest members really like Discord. And so that made it really easy to say, okay, let's make a Discord community. But to zoom out on that a bit and kind of think about platforms, I like Discord because it gives people some distance from Slack. Most of us, especially in the startup tech community, are on Slack every day. And you might be in some fun Slacks, but it's not the place you go to learn and have fun. It's the place you usually go to work for the most part. And I was okay with having some differentiation there, and giving people a little space to engage how they want to engage. Another thing that we've noticed is that Discord, obviously hugely successful company. I've been a Discord user for, I don't know, 6 years now, 5 years, very early on. I personally find that it gives better tools for fun events, for engagement, for silliness. People don't feel like they have to be as professional. And while this is a professional community in a lot of ways, we want to give our users the opportunity to not only learn and grow, but also to just enjoy themselves and not feel pressure, particularly because the majority of our community are people who are, like, at a minimum are, managing a team of, 6 or 8 developers. And some of them are managing 600 developers. Brendan Burns, who came on the podcast recently, and as I mentioned, helped co-found Kubernetes. So one of the things he and I talked about on the podcast was how to create a self-sustaining community. And I really took this advice from him to heart, which is you can't be forcing it. It can't be a top-down thing. You need to have, the community needs to have buy-in and a reason to engage. And for us, I think Discord, given that it's been something that's kind of like built for developers, for gamers, for people who are on that edge of the spectrum of nerdiness, I'll say, as one of those people, it felt like a more welcoming community, and something that was going to be like fun and interesting and new.
Very cool. No, makes a whole lot of sense. The next question would be going exactly in what you just touched upon, like sort of how to provide enough sort of meat into the conversation for the community without trying to dictate the conversations, without having it to, force too much. Like, what's your take on this? Like, do you guys, for example, bring in regular content into the community? How do you, manage the rolling of it?
I'll be honest, I think we can do a better job on this. This is one area that I continually have to try to iterate and improve on. I think we do a pretty good job, but there's opportunities for improvement. Some of the things we're doing right now are we're leading daily discussions. So we have a daily prompting question that we lead in our main lounge, saying, hey, here's the engineering topic of the day. Yesterday was like a kind of a fun topic. I'm sure you've seen, Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram all went out for hours and hours and hours. And so we asked our members and said, I know some of you have had this experience before at your companies, tell us about that experience. Or sometimes we'll talk about hey, how do you properly manage a team when there's a contributor who's flagging? How can you try to make that work? It really depends the day to day on the discussion. So we do have prompting discussions that we do. And that's something that a lot of our community members really enjoy because it gives them a daily brain puzzle or fun story to think about that helps make them better at their role. We do also post our content into the Discord. So we create a lot of community content. We do weekly blogs about most of our podcasts. We have the weekly podcast. We have videos and stuff. We keep that contained in a separate channel because we don't want to make it all about me disseminating my content to this audience, because really this place is for them, right? I may be creating a lot of content with people in the audience, but the community is for them, and we just want to help enable it. So that's a line that we've had to kind of figure out, is saying we're not going to force all of our content on every member because not everyone's interested in it all. And then we also do events. So one thing that I want us to do more of is fun events with the community. We've had some Q&As, we've done AMAs with different leaders. We've got plans to do a couple of fun gaming events that I desperately need to set up here basically once I'm off this call. And then we also do bigger ones. So our Interact event last week, like I said, there was over 700 engineering leaders from across 75 countries that attended. And as part of that, we did a live episode, a live recording of the Dev Interrupted podcast, and encourage folks to bring their questions, that kind of thing. So we're trying to find different ways to engage people. We do also have fun off-topic discussions about software memes, that kind of stuff. It really depends. But I think one of the other things that I really love that we're doing is trying to get community members to engage back with us, right? So like I said, it can't be just us disseminating this outward, right? And so because of that, we have invited community members to contribute articles to our thought leadership blog. And we've had a bunch of community members who are doing that, which has been awesome. And it's a great way to kind of give back to them and say, hey, let us help you raise your profile, and thank you for engaging in the community. And another way is that we're, these daily discussions we're having, sometimes community members will host them, or they will provide the questions for it and say, hey, I want to have this discussion, let's do that. So there's a variety of ways we're going about it. I think there's a ton of ways we'll iterate. If you ask me in 3 to 6 months, I guarantee I'll have like 6 more answers. I'll be like, oh, we changed these 5 things. But that's kind of like my quick summary on it.
Very cool. Very, very good. Since we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, we'd love to jump into our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
I have to be brief.
Yes, this one you would have to. What's the last book you read?
The last book I read is sitting over there. I don't remember the title, but it's about magicians in London. I have to say, it's a fun fantasy book.
Very cool. What's the one thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Trying to make sure that our worker bee developer optimization tool is extremely useful for every developer and has an option to help every developer.
Very good. If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing that you would fix for your role?
I would fix for my role. This is a really hard one, actually. Can you give me like an example maybe of what someone else has said here?
I mean, a lot of things. So some people would have, for example, holograms. There would people bring one into their room because their meetings don't turn up well. Somebody would be getting all the emails answered automatically.
Okay, yeah, definitely that. If someone can answer all my emails automatically, please that. That sounds great.
Very good. Cool. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
I will have to admit I was extremely stressed going into our conference last week. It's the first one we've ever done. It's the first, massive digital event I've ever had to run with over, 500 people at it. So I will admit I woke up quite early and went to bed quite late that week just because of stress.
Congrats on the win. And the last question would be, right, if we're sort of going back a bit in time, going to the days of University of Washington, right? You're stepping out of education, you're now off into your world of marketing and content and community. What's the one advice you would give yourself?
Don't spend as much time working in politics first as I did. Because I spent about 5 years in that, and I think 3 would have been plenty.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
My pleasure, Lucas. Thanks for having me.